What up? We're back at it. Some spiritual gumbo action. And today, this is the first one back since our review. And this is the very first. We're going to do the first and second chapter, I believe, of the book of Leviticus. Or Leviticus, excuse me. I'm not going to try to run through the book of Leviticus. Like the latter half of the Exodus, this is more instructional than it is. It's part of the story, but there's less stories to be told and more instruction, if that makes sense. So we're going to get to the reading. And just in case anybody doesn't remember, we read 7 chapters the last time of the Exodus, and we cover from the actual building of the tabernacle of testimony. Okay. We cover. So there were chapters that gave Moses the dimensions. And then there's the other chapters that follow with them actually building everything and then telling, certain details. But what we come to realize ever so greater is that we can see the story is not being told to us in an instance where this is just one day, one moment. It all didn't happen at one time. And the more people can tell themselves that these are events that have been, once again, calculated, annotated, recorded, for a want of a better word and term, by the Most High God. In certain instances, these are instructions given to men through the different mediums that the Most High God uses, i.e. the Messiah, i.e. the angels, i.e. the host of heaven. Having said that, there's a great understanding that we're given that this is a 2-year process almost. That we understand that from the time that they had just got out of Egypt, months after that, we'll say, right? There's this their first actual act of warfare, if you will. And then, even though they're in the wilderness, I can't stress this enough, they're not in the desert, y'all. Right on? They're in a place where, there would be trees and wild animals and all types of stuff. And for the life of me, I can't stress that enough, because when people think of the Bible, they think of the Middle East and they just think of desert. And I'm like, people's minds need to change and to understand that before the environment was totally destroyed, mainly through warfare, that it was plush and beautiful in a lot of the regions of the world, but especially over there. Now we're going to pick up, like I said, in the first chapter of the Leviticus. And now we're in the tabernacle of witness. And understand, there was a lie that the tabernacle of witness, or the lie before that a lot of people had heard was that the Most High God traveled. They make it seem as if the tabernacle of witness is like a moving tabernacle, like it just does that all by itself, and that's not what it is. When it's stationary, the cloud comes over it during the day, and then at night a fire comes over it. And this happened for all the generations of the children of Israel. Or at least for all the people who were in the wilderness for the entire time in the wilderness, for all those generations. Having said that, verse 1. And the Lord called Moses again and spoke to him out of the tabernacle of witness, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and thou shalt say to them, If any man of you shall bring gifts to the Lord, ye shall bring your gifts of the cattle, and of the oxen, and of the sheep. And if his gift be a whole burnt offering, he shall bring an unblemished male of the herd to the door of the tabernacle of witness. He shall bring it as acceptable before the Lord. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering as a thing acceptable for him, to make atonement for him. And they shall slay the calf before the Lord. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall bring the blood, and they shall pour the blood round about on the altar, which is at the door of the tabernacle of witness. And having flayed the whole burnt offering, they divide it by its limbs. And the sons of Aaron shall put fire on the altar, and shall pile wood on the fire. And the sons of Aaron the priest shall divide up parts, and the head, and the sons of Aaron the priest shall pile up the divided parts, and the head and the fat on the wood on the fire, the wood which is on the altar. And the entrails and the feet they shall wash in water, and the priest shall put all on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if his gift be of the sheep to the Lord, or of the lambs, of the kids, for whole burnt offerings, he shall bring a male without blemish. And he shall lay his hand on its head, and they shall kill it by the side of the altar, toward the north, before the Lord. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall pour its blood on the altar round about, and they shall divide it by its limbs, and its head, and its fat. And the priest shall pile them up on the wood, which is on the fire, on the altar. And they shall wash the entrails, and put the feet with water. And they shall wash the entrails and the feet with water. And the priest shall bring all the parts and put them on the altar. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And if he bring his gift, a burnt offering to the Lord, of birds, then shall he bring his gift of doves or pigeons. And the priest shall bring to it the altar, and the priest shall bring it to the altar, and shall wring off its head. And the priest shall put it on the altar, and shall wring out the blood on the bottom, at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away the crop with the feathers, and shall cast it forth by the altar, toward the east of the place of the ashes. So stop right there. So, note, the back of the tabernacle is the west. Okay? The front of it is obviously the east. So, the altar is in the northern side. I'm trying to break it down to you so that way you guys can get the directions, right? This is the front. This is the back. This is where the altar's at, right? Bam. And it's saying, I'm trying to just be brief, but still break it down. And it's saying, right? So, person brings a sacrifice, and we're going to talk about the different kind of animals it just brought up and what animals it didn't say. I have to say this. I don't remember. I've read ahead a little bit. As I keep and continue to read ahead, if I find it and catch it, I'll correct myself. But fish, I can't think of any sacrifices that take for fish. Couldn't tell you why that is. Though they are distinguished between clean and unclean. Anything out the water has to have scales and fins, otherwise it's unclean. But yet, I can't think of one sacrifice that actually requires fish. Having said that, the altar is set up in a place where when you first walk in, you see the altar. You have to. The priests are going to cook at the altar, right? So before you even you're not going to bring anything in. The priests are obviously going to check. You're going to bring the animal. A righteous man is going to bring an unblemished animal. And a righteous priest is going to check anyway, and they're not going to take an animal that they feel is blemished. Having said that, they take the unblemished animal, right? They lay their hands on the head of it. They cut the neck. It dies, right? Or they start to collect the blood, I should say, right? At the altar. See what I'm saying? Because they're killing these animals right by the altar, so that way they can do everything right there. I can't stress enough how it tells people that the word. Where's the word that it uses? Is it filleted? One moment. I'm pretty sure the word is flay. Give me 1 second to look for it. Yep, flayed. So right, and that means to cut and carve it a certain way. So when that's the case, and the scripture's giving us these clear instructions, it even says what kind of birds, like, so no chickens, no ducks, no geese, right? No quails. Even though they've been eating quail, right? What else? I just can't think of any more clean birds right now. But just dove and just pigeons. And is that because they're easier to get next to, and you can just pick them up pretty much if you want to? Like, they'll let you get close to them. I'm not sure if that's the reason why, right? But these are the two. And now let's go back to what it's saying for the birds and how it wants this done. Now note, the blood of the bird is going to be wrung out at the bottom of the altar, and you're going to take the feathers and the crop and you're going to throw it where the ashes are at. So I'm going to assume the ashes are either the only logical place is behind the altar, more north, right? Not towards the west, the back where Aaron would minister to the Most High. That doesn't make sense. Mind you, this is a court too, so it's not like it's just right next to it, but there's area and space. But I'm just saying, though, you would want it to go away from the Holy of Holies, not towards them. Ashes. It's ash. Even though ash does have purifying properties to it, we're not going to get into that. Where we at? Verse 16. And he shall take away the crop with the feathers, and shall cast it forth by the altar toward the east of the place of the ashes. Right? So behind. Or to the right of it. But if the ashes are on a certain side, the right of it is behind it. It's again further north. Even though it's to the east of it. Never mind. And he shall break it from the wings. And he shall break it off from the wings. And shall not separate it. So, bam, right? Break it open. Or you could assume that pulling it, but I'm assuming that it means to open the bird almost. You know what I'm saying? To break the wings up. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if it's meant to be fried, but listen to this though. This is what it sounds like to I. Listen to this. And the priest shall put it on the altar on the wood which is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, a sacrifice, a sweet smelling savor to the Lord. And if a soul bring a gift to sacrifice to the Lord, his gift shall be fine flour. And he shall pour oil upon it, and shall put frankincense. And this is chapter 2. This is why I said I was going to read 2 of them to you, because they pretty much go together. Chapter 3 almost does with it, but there's a lot going on in chapter 3, and I just want to read that to you guys on another occasion. Where are we at? Verse 1 of chapter 2. See, now, this is another thing. You can sacrifice with flour, too. So, once again, making breads and stuff like that, that's why it's so important that people understand how important it is to know what the heck is going on. And if a soul bring a gift, a sacrifice to the Lord, his gift shall be fine flour. And he shall pour oil upon it, and shall put frankincense on it. It is a sacrifice. And he shall bring it to the priest, the sons of Aaron. And having taken from it a handful of the fine flour with the oil, and all its frankincense, the priest shall put the memorial of it on the altar. It is a sacrifice, an odor of sweet savor to the Lord. Not a smell, but an odor. Just want to throw that out there, difference in words. And and I'm sure right now we're not going to read about them mingling the meat with the fine oil and the flour right this moment, but we're going to be country fried steaks, deep fried chicken is what comes to my mind. It's what comes to my mind. Let's go ahead and keep reading. So, first off, let's go ahead and break this down. You make the cake, right? And since it's an offering, you're going to put the frankincense in it, right? And so that way it has an odor to it and it smells good. Because, normally bread doesn't smell like anything. So, I'm not saying that the priests are going to take any of this bread and ingest it, right? But they do. But I'm saying that I know they're going to eat this bread, but just know that this isn't the same bread, right, that is meant for sacrifice. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this isn't the same exact bread. Like, this is another kind of bread. This is actually for sacrifice, where the other bread is for sacrifice, but it's actually meant to be eaten, and the cakes. Having said that, where are we at? Verse 3? We're in the middle of verse 2, I want to say. The priest shall put it on the memorial of the altar. It is a sacrifice, an odor of sweet savor to the Lord. And the remainder of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, a most holy portion from the sacrifices of the Lord. Now stop right there. Why this is so important is because it's a distinguishment from all the other events. All right? This is the first time we're actually hearing about sacrificing birds. See what I'm saying? But if people understand it, this is how they've been cooking and eating for a long time. Now listen to this next part. This is very interesting. It says, and if he bring as a gift a sacrifice baked from the oven, an oven, a gift to the Lord of fine flour, he shall bring unleavened bread kneaded with oil, and unleavened cakes anointed with oil. Do you see why I made the distinction? That sometimes it's hard for people to understand. What's the word I'm looking for? Certain things in the scripture sound the same, they're not the same. And sometimes, even if things are different, it can still relate to the same subject or area. Having said that, it's distinguishing the different type of sacrifice. And no, it's pretty much telling us, right, that you can't bring the leavened, right? We already understand that, but just know how, right? Obviously, fine flour, you're going to put the oil on it, and the frankincense is that's a distinct. The incense is a distinct thing to tell them in this one, and to not have told them before, and then to not repeat it right on afterwards. You see what I'm talking about? And here we go, verse 7. And if thy sacrifice, whoa, skip way too far ahead. Verse 5. And if they be a sacrifice from a pan, it is fine flour mingled with oil, unleavened offerings. So once again, because you can cook bread in a pan on fire, and you can cook bread in an oven. Understand, man? Most High God is like, He's hitting it all the different ways. If you really listen and really hear it, right? These people are eating flatbread all the time. What people consider flatbread. That's what they eat in the Bible. That's what most of their bread is. And when it's not flatbread, it's the rolls of bread. It's like a bread roll. I'm going to have to make some more. Actually, I have a little bit of bread right now still left. Give me a second. No. Because that's leavened. I want to show you guys some unleavened bread. I'm gonna make another little thing of bread pretty soon. And I'll show you guys what it looks like. Where we at? And my next one, I'll probably actually make it with the oil, like it's saying in here. I'll actually find out how to knead it with oil. It's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be very interesting. Where are we at, my lovely people? Verse 5. And if thy gift be a sacrifice from a pan, it is fine flour mingled with oil, unleavened offerings, and thou shalt break them into fragments and pour oil upon them. It is a sacrifice to the Lord. And if thy gift be a sacrifice from the hearth, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And he shall offer the sacrifice. And he shall offer the sacrifice which he shall make of these to the Lord. One moment. Where we at? And he shall offer the sacrifice which he shall make of these to the Lord, and shall bring it to the priest. Where we at? And the priest shall approach the altar, and shall take away from the sacrifice a memorial of it. And the priest shall place it on the altar, a burnt offering, a smell of sweet savor to the Lord. And that which is left of the sacrifice shall be for Aaron and his sons, most holy from the burnt offerings of the Lord. Ye shall not leaven any sacrifice which ye shall bring to the Lord. For as to any leaven or any honey, ye shall not bring it to offer. Ye shall not bring it as a gift to offer to the Lord. Ye shall bring them in the ways of fruits to the Lord, but they shall not be offered on the altar for a sweet smelling savor to the Lord. Now note, honey you could also make beer with, right? Just like the leaven I always assume is yeast, because you can make beer with yeast. You follow what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Verse 13. And every gift of your sacrifice shall be seasoned with salt. Omit not the salt of the covenant of the Lord from your sacrifices. So he's telling you, do you see the sequence of events? Right? A person would have to read the entire scripture, all of it, at least the first 5 books, before they even started to make moves. Because if you do something, and then you read something else that tells you further else after that to do something else, right? So first off, the Most High God is like, you're not about to be eating plain food, bruh. I'm not going to make you eat plain food that's not seasoned. That's not good. Once again, man, this is... How would the Most High God know that, y'all? How does he know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does he know? And having said that, give me one moment. Having said that, where do people get off at the idea that that putting salt on their food is a bad thing? Obviously, he didn't say drown your food in salt, right? But he says, omit not the salt of the covenant. What else does that mean other than the salt of the promise from your sacrifices? On every gift of yours ye shall offer salt to the Lord your God. And if thou wouldest offer a sacrifice of first fruits to the Lord, it shall be new grains ground and roasted for the Lord. Right, so you're not going to just bring me anything, dog. You're not going to bring me no old grains. You're going to bring me some new stuff that you just roasted today. Fresh. And also, where is it at? So shalt thou bring the sacrifices of the first fruits, and thou shalt pour oil on it, and thou shalt put frankincense on it. It is a sacrifice. And the priest shall offer the memorial of it, taken from the grains with the oil, and all its frankincense. It is a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. Stop right there. You see how that's different? The first fruits, and then it tells you with the frankincense again. This is why I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough. That is dictate to situation. Now, would I say to put frankincense on all your fine flour and all that. I would say that just to be safe. But then again, if he's not telling you to do that, I wouldn't do that. You see what I'm saying? He's telling you to put salt on your food. Now, for those people who have diabetes and have already taken a course of not being judicious in how much they would intake of these things, I can't tell you to put salt on your food. But the Most High God is telling us right here that his what you eat is supposed to be seasoned, not plain and bland. Those are the two chapters that we're going to cover today. I'll do my best to do, I'm pretty sure I could do three. Give me one moment. So I'll do 3 and 4 my next time through. Right on. 3 is pretty short. And 4 is not. 4 is actually kind of long. 4 is not short. But I'll do 3 and 4 the next time. And we'll just do a couple chapters per. And roughly by the end of this month-ish, we'll have this done. The book of the Levites, or the Leviticus. Having said that, I really do hope that you guys take this serious, man. It takes a lot of time to put together the information. And I know you might wonder, why do you say things that you know you're already going to either go back against or... First off, I have to play the advocate of the adversary. And I'm not saying the devil, but I have to be adversarial to whatever it is that I'm saying, so that way people can understand that you don't have to take my word for it. I would rather you not take my word for it and challenge everything I say. It's just easier like that when you have your own understanding. Having said that, I appreciate every piece of your time. It is a big thing to me to have your time. Having said that, I think I've taken up enough of it. I appreciate you guys so much. Spiritual Gumbo, out.